One of the reasons that the average person can't understand hoarding disorder is because they have a typically functioning brain. And one of the most interesting things that I find about people with hoarding disorder is that under a brain scan, there are two lobes in the front of the brain. One deals with emotional regulation. The other one deals with heavy decision making. And under a scan, we find that people with hoarding disorder often have extremely diminished activity in those lobes. In some extreme cases, there's almost no activity, meaning that a lot of them don't have the ability to regulate big emotions or don't have the ability to make big decisions. It's called a neuropsychological problem because there's a physical problem with the brain that causes psychological symptoms. Hoarding is that symptom, and that is often triggered and brought to the forefront of the mind through a traumatic event like a death in the family, a loss of a very important career, a messy divorce. Any sort of big loss can trigger hoarding disorder and bring it to the forefront and exacerbate the actual problem. In the more severe cases of hoarding disorder that I've seen, they can't differentiate the emotional connection between family members and things. So in a lot of cases, the families get extremely angry because the person who they're trying to help is seemingly choosing their stuff over their family. Because of the diminished activity in those lobes, in a lot of cases, they literally can't distinguish. It's why when you watch a show like Hoarders and you see somebody freaking out because they threw away an old, broken, moldy toy crib, or even a piece of garbage, to us, it seems like they're overreacting to something that's extremely simple and then they're just making an illogical decision. In their brain, throwing away that piece of garbage is the exact same thing as throwing away their dog, or in extreme cases, their child. The neural pathways in parts of their brains are not set up like the typical person. It physically operates differently than your and my brain. We're coming from a foundation of a brain that's quote-unquote normal, and so we're comparing what they're doing to how we're thinking. But to understand the problem, we need to understand their foundation, where their brain is operating. And that can be treated with cognitive behavioral therapy and long-term treatment. It takes time to build new neural pathways in the brain, and so repetition and learning that new skill and having someone there to hold them accountable is the only way to get past this in almost every case. But in order for them to get treatment, it means the rest of the family has to get some understanding and has to get past the anger that they feel. Justifiable anger though it may be, it still needs to be addressed by everyone.